Hey folks, ACCG here, and in today's video we are covering a Jewelry Bonney deck profile. Now this is a deck that kind of seems bread and butter, but there's a small amount of changes in my list that I'm going through, and also I kind of just want to showcase some of the alts that I've managed to pick up at the same time. Now this is my backup deck for OP07 right now. I've been tryharding BY Luffy very much, but Bonney is definitely on my radar, and I feel like if it wasn't as popular as it is currently in the West, I'd probably play it a little bit more, because I dread the idea of running into many mirror matches with this deck, but it has an absolutely amazing effect. And if you don't know what it does, then, you know, take a look there. If it focuses, there you go. But basically you can rest one of your opponent's characters or leaders on attack for paying 1 Don, which is broken. Right now, and in the East, in the Asia sides, they were saying that this is a 1.5. I still agree with that very much. I think it has some pretty bad matchups in the format, but I also think, as always, in the West, we're in a bit of a weird situation. But yeah, let's fly through the list. Pretty basic stuff, really, bread and butter. In 4 Bonney and 4 Baby 5. Now I'm very fortunate to have picked up the championship Bonnies just before the deck came out. So yeah, and I was very tempted at one point to sell these and then decided to keep them. So yeah, very happy for that. And I picked these up when I was playing Perona last set as well. So able to reuse things, which is really nice. But yeah, 4 and 4, no question for me. I think running both of the searches is the best. There is some deck lists that are just running pure Supernova, so only run the Bonney. But I think the consistency of being able to search out your 10 cost, your Resonante blockers, some of your other pieces as well is really important. Speaking of Resonante blocker, I am running 4 of them in this list. And one thing that you might see a little bit different from my list to others is that I'm not running the 3 cost, what's it called? It begins with like a B. It's a guy with teeth. I mean, most guys have teeth. Oh my gosh, I can't remember. Why is the name like, anywho, it's lifted. There's a 3/4 blocker that says when you rest one of your cards, you can draw a card, discard a card. And the reason that's ran is because Bartolomeo. I'm saying words in my head. I can see the words, but can't. Anywho, that's what it is. It's a 3/4 Bartolomeo. And the reason you run it is because it's a blocker and it's 3/4, so it's not easy for RP lore to get rid of, and you can play it off your kit effect. Now, I'll just say it straight, there's not a lot of RP lore in my current meta in my locals, so there's no real reason for me to run that over just 4 straight copies of this. This is a very great card into Lucci, into a lot of the removal matchups, and it's clean and searchable for Baby 5. So 4 of those for me. If I were going to a regional, I might switch it up to the Barto, but honestly, I see that as a little bit gimmicky, and I think just 4 of this for consistency is really good. Now for 2Ks, I'm running 4 Baby 5, 3 Viola, and 2 of the 2-cost Supernova, Scratch Mana. Now, again, a lot of people are just running the 4 Viola, 3 Baby 5, and then the 1-cost Apu that came out in this set, which has the on-play effect of rest a 2-cost. Now, I've been playing this deck since OP06, and I never once ever used that Apu effect, but I have used this one sometimes. So this comes up in the mirror match for me. It has the ability of Don X1, sorry. When attacking, you can rest one of your opponent's Don. And the reason what I'll do is sometimes when I'm on 9 Don, I'm not able to have a way to get the Don active again, and that can be a little bit frustrating. So wait, that's why I'm running a Baby 5. For this one, it's like if I rest my my 8-cost kid, I can play this out and my opponent has to think super hard about what they want to do for the turns, because a lot of people will leave the 2 Don up, so they'll get less Don utilization, and if they don't, then I can just swing at them for 5k by putting 2 Don on it, and just rest that, meaning that I can get more attacks through, and it catches people off guard. They don't expect it. Also, it's shiny, and that's the real reason, isn't it? It just looks super cool. And now the reason I've gone for this over this for the 4-3 split is because I've never once used the Viola effect, but I have used the Baby 5 effect before, where I've been on 9 Don before with a kid had a really rough game where I've needed to get the Don back up so it's not just going to get Unga Bungered, and I've had to play this off a kid before, trash it to get 2 Don back, so that I can use my lead ability. It doesn't come up a lot, but I think it's the micro decisions in your deck building that come up, so has happened before, but hardly ever, and they're both Doflamingo pirates, and that's the real reason that it matters. 4 copies of Oroge. It's, yeah, really, really solid card. If you're running less than this, I think it's a big mistake. The card is pretty crazy. Basic stats, quite easy for them to remove, but if it sticks, then it puts you in a position like where your opponent just isn't able to deal with your things. Sorry, I just saw that my tripod is tilting for some reason. I'm sure that was amazing for you to watch. And then next up is 4 Cavendish, and then I'm running 3 of this Jewelry Bonney. I think this card is broken. Not necessarily because of the stun on a character, but because of the stun on a Don. The amount of times when my opponent's going to go to 8 Don, where they're going to play out a Moria or a Sabo, I'm able to play the Bonney down, lock one of the Don down, and just say, you're locked for a turn. And a lot of people will all in when they play style towards what they're going to do on those curves, and just being able to throw them off is super, super nice. Also, it has nice stats in a 5/6, and of course being able to lock a character down to rested really does come up sometimes. Next up is 4 Cavendish, because this card is absolutely insane. If your opponent doesn't answer it, then you pretty much you're just cooking the entire game, really. Like, just being able to get 2 Don active every turn is insane. I'd just be careful about when I'm playing them so that you're not, you know, losing everything. Next up is one of the best cards in the deck, and I don't have the 4th vault, and it's killing me inside, but it's Hawkins, and in a vacuum it's a terrible card, but in a format full of removal, being able to have an effect that says it cannot be removed is really, really strong, and that card is really perfect against black decks, because they have to use a character usually to remove things, and if your opponent tries to play a character, you can just rest the character that's being played to remove it, so it gets to stick around, and it's got a 7k body, which is really nice. Next up is 4 Hody Jones, something that's, again, probably not new anymore. It's new if you've never seen Bonney before, but again, this was discovered in the East, so it's just become the norm to run 4 of this. I'm mulligan for this a lot of the time. It's a lot of your win con against some of the decks that you need to be aggressive against, and also it's super nice tempo in the early game, especially if you're against someone who's trying to stall you out a little bit and stop giving you resources. The amount of times when my opponent's played a Sabo on 6 Don, I've just Hody Jones and swung into their Sabo for 8, and I watch them panic because they either have to drop 2 cards from their hand or lose their character, and a lot of the times it's the character. Next up is a card that I've always had a strong disdain for this card. I hate it so much, but playing a green deck, you have to play it. It's the 8 cost Eustace Kid. Being able to just completely swing the game happens so many times. Like playing this down where your opponent thinks, oh, I've put them to 1 or even 0 life, and then you play this out, completely stall the game, just watch your opponent panic when they've only got like 5k swings, and you're able to just rest down some of their big things with your lead effect. You're able to hide this behind an abundance of blockers, because you have the 2 cost Rosananti, which you get to play out with this for free. You have the Hawkins, the Oroge, so you're able to play it down. Its survivability is huge. So yeah, super scary. One off Zoro. I am playing my manga, so I'm happy to be able to actually get some utilization out of this. I don't know why my camera is invoking, but anyway, it's cool. It looks awesome. I play the one off because every list plays a one off nowadays, honestly. But in reality, the matchups where this is really good against, I feel like if you draw the right cards or you play really well, then you don't really need it. It just helps you secure games in some of those matchups. But also, it's quite easy to remove for some of the decks that are a bit annoying for me to face, like RP Law or Lucci. RP Law, it's a bit more difficult because they need to have 2 of the 1 costs, but for Lucci, a lot of the times they can just clear this as soon as it hits the deck, which is frustrating, but it's still nice to have. And a lot of times against Lucci, I'll play it out if I get it, because I'm forcing them to have that removal. And next up is a weird one. I'm running 4 of the 10 cost Dofis. That might seem like a mad choice, but most people are running 3 of this, especially because it's searchable, and they're running 3 of the 0 cost, or finding room for another card here, like another Zoro. But I think this is one of the best cards in the game, and I think being able to do back-to-back 10 costs is absolutely broken, and I want to be able to do that as many times as I can. And with the current formats that I'm facing right now, the 10 cost is coming in a lot more useful. than ever before. So I like 4. I want to see it as often as possible. And then finishing it off, we've got 2 of the 0 costs here. Now it also has a on-trigger effect of rest up to one of your opponent's 4 costs or less, which does come up because sometimes you'll rest a blocker and then be able to go for game if you don't have Hody. But we run a lot of bricks, so realistically it's just a 0 cost 3k counter, which allows us to filter off some of our hand. And it catches people off guard because you have 6k bases. A lot of the times they'll swing 8 into it and you still just give them 2 cards, but it feels very clean. That's the deck list. I hope you enjoyed it. Maybe it gave you some inspiration. Let me know what deck you are running this format in the link below, in the comment section below, and I hope you have a great day.